Good morning, traders. Can you hear me? See my screen okay? What's up, Mikey Martin? It's good to see everybody this morning. And as we know, Monday is always a strange day, and we had some, I have to say that was pretty wild. We'll look at the gold later, but some crazy moves during the overnight market, right? All right. Well, let's get shaking here. Kyle, great morning overview. As you know, Kyle does his morning overview. We kind of together have things covered for you, I hope. But let's take a look at what we're doing. It's been kind of a strange week. Last week was definitely strange because we had the last day of the month and the first day of the month of December. So, um, the ES, most of these markets, have been doing some whipsaw coiling, right? Here's what we're looking at here, of course, the S&Ps, the ES, right? This big blue area we talked about was just a big coil balanced area. Every time we came out of it, we came right back. And of course, this purple is the US sessions, right? You can see when we came out of here, we closed in here. We rallied up here, we closed back into the middle. We broke below here, we came back in the middle until we finally put some nice action to the upside. In fact, let me do this. I'm going to make this a candlestick so you could see this formation, how it looks on the 30-minute, right? We did this test of the previous overnight lows in the middle of this whole area and this high volume node, and then put in a reasonable spike low there with a little excess. So it was a nice low, but there, all bets are off until we, come out of this with some kind of vengeance. So when you come out of any kind of value area like this, it's been balancing. It's kind of difficult unless you have the bigger institutional hedge funds and bigger traders dogpiling in. If it's the retail, it's going to come right back. But so here we are. We had this, single time framing after we established this low, went up, took out the previous highs, and did some nice distribution up here. Well, it's kind of funny because now the overnight session is coming right back into this area, which probably will give us a nice gap from the close, right? But we'll probably trade inside this big range. It's a huge range. I'm not in the camp that we're going to take out the previous lows, but it's very possible. This what happened on Sunday, with with the Navy and all that stuff. I'm sure it had a lot to do with the markets being a little bit soft this morning. But regardless, we're back into this big balance area. We're going to let the market open up in the first 15 minutes and see where we go. Now, it's been also a very much of a split between the ES and NASDAQ and versus the Dow and the Russell, right? So the Dow made new yearly highs, as we know. We had that one up day of 500 and then 300, whatever, finally broke out. Sometimes that kind of happens when the ES, the 500 is a little bit sluggish. The money, we get rotation, and the same with the Russell. The Russell's been the weak index for quite a while and then came alive last week. So a little rotation, making it a little difficult for directional moves, to sustain a directional move, when you have two indices up really good and two down. So now currently all indices are down, all four of them showing, that this could be affected a little bit by this weekend's, action overseas. But regardless, we look at charts like a doctor looks at an EKG. We don't guess where I think the market's going to go, and I think we don't really, we shouldn't try to predict it. I like looking at charts, and currently we're getting some selling in the market, and the next level that we're going to be looking at is this 45.64, and then the previous U.S. session lows, right? Hang on one second. Let's just take a look at this ES on the bar chart. So you can see we have this slight rally going here, a little channel on the upside, and now we're just visiting the other side. So there isn't a huge direction confirmation other than, yes, the market is continuing to hold up really well. Every time we get a nice gain, though, we keep on coming back, but not quite far enough to break down the market. So getting back to this this rally that we had, you can see what we're doing. If I look at this Europe session, which and I open this up, this is how it looks. We tried to balance in the middle of the structure, where we had the single prints where we kind of tripped over our feet to get long here on the first day of the December, and then we're giving it all back. So no clear direction, slight bias to the upside, but I would say that you can play both sides of the market. Let the market tell you what it's going to do, right? Okay. So currently my pivot is at 45.96. It's this last swing high that we had. It's right above the Asia value area. So if we get back above there, you're back above Asia and Europe and the previous U.S. session high from last week, last month, I mean. Then the market obviously is doing very well, but I don't think we're going up there. I think we're going to have a little bit of a rocky road here inside this area where we kept on coiling, and these coils are very difficult, because if you were to take a spring and you totally twist it as hard as you can, there's going to be a point where you can't hold on anymore. And when you let go of it, there's no which way the spring is going to go. And so trying to predict that is insane. Now, when we came out of this, they were putting in a nice high, nice double distribution. We distributed here in the morning, and then we came back over here. Well, nothing like some kind of overseas news to upset the apple cart. And generally, these kind of moves, from some kind of news like that, it's always the unknown that can turn down the market, not the facts, but the unknown of what we have today, right? So a little bit too much too fast on the first day of December, and here we are giving it all back. So should be a little bit two-way trading down in this area. It's very possible that we go all the way back down if this gets ugly, and 45.55 is more or less the untested POC after we took off from here. So this it's a pretty big area. You can see the lows down here. We have another low here. So 45.55 is the big honcho. It's the bottom of this value area, and call it where I call it the pool, where the market just kept on playing in. So it could be interesting today. We should have some nice volatility, I would suspect, and then you should be able to play both sides of the market, because we're just back into this coil area. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, and I'm gonna go to the next chart. Let's see what's behind the scenes here, right? Okay, let's bring up the crude, right? So the crude has also been coiling. Like I said, most of these markets have been indecisive, you know, and the crude did its little up and down, and we had this rally off of this low, retest here, higher low, really trying to make, bring this crude up, almost really took out, the swing high, went up and tested the overnight highs here back on Thursday, but then gave it all back at this point. And now the crude's looking like it's going the other side, the dark side, and I think it will continue to break, to be honest. I think, we don't look so hot with this type of action. We took 2 weeks to get up to here from here, and we took 2 days to get back down. So that's not good action for the crude. So if we look at the crude, it's a little bit also evident here. We've got this big coil in the crude. And if you look at this, this yellow level here is the 200 daily SMA, right? Momentum's pointing down. We had a lower high than this particular high here. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. 1 second. I love Mondays. Is it Friday yet? Boom, bump. Okay, so we've got this huge kind of like down channel, but we're in this coil, and this 200-day has been like the souvlaki, the shish kebab stick, right through the middle. When we're above it, we get going. When we're below it, kind of fall apart. So it's been a little of a pivotal area, but we're trending lower, and I think we're gonna head for this low that we made on the 16th of November, which comes in right around 72.37. So I'm in that camp that we're gonna test that today. All right, and that's down here. I don't see why not. This is a big failure here that, we had this nice bump up again and took it all out in 3 days, right? Okay, so let's go to, oh, by the way, my pivot, the overnight market came up to my pivot, which comes in right here, right around this 75.04. It turns out that's right around the overnight high. That was right around the previous US session low on Thursday, and hit the rim and broke, and now we're down about to test the overnight lows. Okay, so that's should be most of these markets are in some very interesting modes at the moment. So 72.86 was the overnight low, and 72.32 is this swing low that we had, which I think we'll end up testing. That's just anything can happen, but it's just my opinion. Now this gold is you just gotta love this. I gotta tell you a quick story. So Linda's in France, right? So I'm home alone, dealing with the dogs and all that, and I'm just chilling out on Sunday. Well, I leave to go have some dinner, and I come back and I talk to Linda, and I see on the news about this, the drones we shot down, and there's always the fear of war with Iran and all this other stuff. But I didn't look at the charts. I looked at the quote board. By the time I came back and looked at the quote board, we had rallied and broke into gold already, $50. The ES wasn't doing a whole lot. The markets weren't going crazy. So I said, I see the news, but, I looked at the quote board, and gold is up a little bit, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't look at the charts and the highs. After I hung up, she was, it was 1 a.m. in France, right? I went, looked, and went, oh God, I couldn't believe this big move, right? Anyway, if you look at this will be interesting. Let me just do this. I'm going to go open this up so that you can see how this move looks on the daily chart, right? I'm sorry, on the candlesticks, right? Hang on a second. So we rallied almost $60, right, in an hour and a half. And when I was talking with Linda, we were like right here. Anyway, I just thought it kind of funny. But one thing I want to say, and I stress this all the time, that these overreactions to one side like that, this is not the big time frame traders buying it up here. I'm telling you, they're not going to run up and pay the high of a $60 rally. They're going to take advantage of taking the other side of that. Anyway, so an overreaction up usually causes an overreaction down. And what's really interesting, if you look at this, take a quick look here. I'm sorry, I just thought this was very interesting. So basically, this was the big rally, right? Now, we're working our way down to almost go to the other side of the arena. And usually the old buy the rumor, sell the fact is very evident in this particular thing, this rally and this breakout, knee-jerk reaction is we didn't know. We heard the news, right? The market hears the news, but they don't know, if there's any damage or what's going on. So fear and the unknown always drives the market way beyond, where it should be. And then once we realized, okay, well, nothing's, everything's stabilized. Then you got these longs up here going, oh man, I bought it up there, right? So when I was on the floor of the exchange, I always saw that being the case, just anyway, that was just my 2 cents there. So if you look at the gold, let's take a look at the gold here. You can see we took out the previous US session high. We went all the way up to this 2150 area, but we failed to get all the way up to 2163, which was this swing high. And I believe that's the high for the year, I believe. Yeah. So now let's just be careful today in the gold. And I discount those rallies. And I pretty much, we shouldn't have probably gotten above 2100 overnight, but once we got above 2000 with the news, you got buy stops, you probably have big buyers thinking we're going to continue higher, whatever. Here we are back down on the day, $25. So you got to be really careful. In the room, when we look at these overnight markets and or I'm sorry, the FOMCs or the unemployment figures, I like to react after the first reaction. So the reaction up is usually the top of the day. So once you get a little price overlap on the 5-minute, you can almost short it with a stop above it. Much better than being dogpiling in and getting stuck. All right, I'm not going to lecture you guys. You know what, I've talked about this before. Now you do have the EC, right, coming back quite the ways. This was the big area we were watching last week. This 200-day moving average was also very big. I don't look at those like most people. I just pay attention because the market pays attention to it, but I include it in always if we're right around there. And you can see we tested the overnight, during the overnight highs, Globex highs, right on the opening, we tested the 200-day moving average, took out the previous US session high by a little bit. And I think it was a trap, just like the bond or the gold, and the gold and EC are basically cousins, these days. They don't follow each other exactly, but certainly a good portion of the time you see a correlation. Here we go. We took out the previous US session lows, and it's very possible that this EC can continue down, and I really think we'll probably test 108.11 when it's all said and done. We're on our way. My pivot, though, is above this POC, is right on this POC, point of control from Friday. That was right around the low of the overnight lows, and right above it is the U.S. session low from Thursday. And to boot, it's also the high volume, or the not the high, it's kind of a high volume area, but it's really the value area, the top of the value area from the overnight market. So you could see we went right up to it, held it, and then sold off. So the pivot comes in at 108.84. So we'll see what happens to the EC, but I think the EC is going to give back some. Okay, let's take a look at the bonds. The bonds have had a steady rally, right? Obviously. And we had a nice little rally on Friday when we got back above the overnight highs. We filled it, the single tail, the single prints, and had a really nice rally. And of course, I think Powell helped a bit, and just in general. But we broke out to the upside in the in the bonds. Let me bring up the bond chart here for a second. Still, still in the big picture, we've had this big trend down. Obviously, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that they've been raising interest rates that push this market all the way down. And then finally, the market priced in that we're not going to have to raise them. And certainly this has been a nice up move. You could see these green bars here. That's the PAV reversal. It's not up and down bars, because there's been a lot of down bars, but this keeps me in for the most part. And so for 3 weeks, we've been in this uptrend. We had a little bit of a push back down, just a little profit taking here, but then continuation. So we're still in this uptrend, although I think this 1724 to 26 area is going to be pivotal. And, I think we could get back to the, closer to the downside, this area here, the inside pocket, the 1630 area, is very possible today. I mean, I wouldn't discount it, but I do think that we're going to be pushing down in the first part of the morning. My pivot is the 1726, which is just a big flip zone. Like I said, it's the previous swing high here. It's the bottom of the value area here. And then we've got this, area of construction that we can come and, fill in some of these gaps, these single prints, low developed areas that I like to call the caves. So we could come back into here. All right, let's go back to the main drawing board. Today we're going to have some fun. I'm not going to allow myself to predict what's going to happen. I never do. I like to see what the market is telling me. And currently, we're in a nice downtrend on this 5-minute chart, but we're just about, we just tested the previous U.S. session lows. Okay. And so this area is pretty big. That's 6250 is the lows here, and we got pretty close. I think we got down to 63. So, now that when you have this many red bars down, the first green bar up is almost a fade. I would be looking, I would need some work down here, a little bit of a base for me to think like, oh, now we can buy it. And, it's possible, but it's almost a scalp on this first green bar up. As you know, we look at that. That's why I use the PAV reversals to kind of guide me. Like if I go in here and I put the PAV reversal in, here, let's just do this. These red dots are telling me no matter what, we're down. Just like these green dots are saying, you're in an up mode. So here we are. I don't think you can run and buy it yet. I think the market's going to have maybe another test of the lows before I think the market could come back in and fill in some of these single prints. Okay. All right. Well, again, it's kind of funny how, for the most part, the entire board is red, right? I mean, you even have like things like corn, crude, natural gas, gold, and lately it's been being that way. Okay, we're open, and let's see what the opening brings.